Um, Good afternoon, everybody. Now I welcome all for the third session of the second day program. This session is handled by Dr. S. Albert Alexander. He is a postdoctoral research fellow from Northern University, Boston, Massachusetts, USA. He is the recipient of prestigious Raman Research Fellowship from the University Grand Commission, Government of India. His current research focuses on fault diagnosis systems for solar energy conversion systems and smart grids. He has 14 years of academic and research experience. He has published 25 technical papers in international and national journals, including IEEE Transactions, IET, Elsewhere, Taylor and Francis, Whaley, etc., and presented 23 papers at national and international conferences. He has completed 4 Government of India funded projects and 1 multilateral project in under progress with the overall grant amount of rupees 103 lakhs. His PhD work on power quality earned him a national award from ISTE, and he has received 25 awards for his meritorious academic and research career, such as Young Engineers Award from IEI, Young Scientist Award from SPRERI, Gujarat. He has also received the National Teaching Innovator Award from MHRD. He is an approved Margadarshak from AICT Government of India. He is also the approved mentor for Change under Atal Innovation Mission. He has guided 32 graduate and postgraduate projects. He is presently guiding 7 research scholars and 1 completed his PhD under his guidance. He is a member and in prestigious positions in various national and international forums such as senior member IEEE and Vice President of Energy Conservation Society of India, etc. He has been an invited speaker in 215 programs covering 9 Indian states and also at USA. He has organized 12 events including faculty development programs, workshops and seminars. He completed his graduate program in electrical and electronics engineering from Bardier University and his postgraduate program from Anna University, India. Presently, he is working as an associate professor in the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Kongu Engineering College, and also doing research work in artificial intelligence controllers, smart healthcare system, smart grids, solar PV, and solar power quality improvement techniques. He has authored the following books in his area of interest: one, power electronic converters from solar PV systems elsewhere; computational paradigm techniques for enhancing electrical power quality, CRC Press; basic electrical, electronics and measurement engineering, Anuradha Publishers; and special electrical machines, Anuradha Publishers. So with this, I invite Dr. S. Albert Alexander for this faculty development program to give an external guest speaking for a topic, motor current analysis of the electrical motors. Now, I will hand over the session to Dr. S. Albert Alexander. Sir, over to Robert, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Hariharan, sir, for giving me this better opportunity to address the vital gathering related to the fault analysis and the electric current analysis. I'm very much happy and proud to present my findings. And in this presentation, I'm going to give so many case studies, okay? Because whenever we attend a FDP, there should be some takeaway. That is, we have understood one tool and we have understood one technique like that. So certainly my session will be quite interesting to you. There is so many takeaways will be there. Like we are going to travel with some frequency techniques and also some intelligent techniques like that. So after a small gap for delivering the lectures, again it was started by Dr. Hariharan sir. So I'm very happy to thank him for this opportunity. So next 1.5 hours, we are going to discuss about the various techniques available for electric current analysis. You may ask a question, okay? You may ask a question, what is the role of electric current analysis, okay, for mechanical engineering? Okay, because here we can able to see there are the widespread knowledge or widespread usage of electrical motors, and the need for moving across to the interdisciplinary work and the interdisciplinary the interdisciplinary research works required to be addressed. So in this particular domain, I'm going to give a glimpse of the various aspects related to electric current analysis for electrical motors. So the technique what we are discussing today, it is not only applicable for electrical motors. In addition to that, it is also applicable for any system. You may be working in the manufacturing, you may be working in the production, you may be working in any domains of mechanical engineering. The technique what we are going to discuss today can be applicable to any of the things, any of your requirements or any of your applications or any of your things. Okay, because normally nowadays the role of artificial intelligence and the role of some advanced controllers are coming into the picture. So we are going to involve all these things in our talk. So that will be give various things. Normally, presently, I'm doing the research in the area of self-healing system. Okay, so earlier I have done some work on power quality improvement, but now I have interchanged my work and a diversion to the self-healing for the fault conditions. So you can also think about this particular area called self-healing. What is meant by self-healing? Self-healing means, see, whenever we get some headache or whenever we get some pain, okay, so we normally go to and visit doctor. Okay, so the doctor will give some medical precautions and he will give some medical inputs like that. But instead of going to doctor, if you can able to heal yourself, okay, so that is called self-healing. Okay, and also the system is continued in its operation without any stoppage. So that is the thing. So for human being, it is well and good because we cannot able to meet the doctor and we can able to survive and based upon the medical activities what we are taking care. But the meanwhile, for electrical machines or the mechanical motors or the mechanical appliances, self-healing plays a vital role. The ultimate objective is to make the continuity of the operation. That is the first and foremost thing. So the continuity of the operation to be maintained, where this particular thing we can able to understand how we can able to get this particular fact in a different perspective. So that is the overall objective of my talk, how to operate the appliances, either it may be electrical or either it may be a mechanical devices in a different manner, and how we are going to observe certain kind of readings and how to make use of the data set effectively for prediction analysis. Okay, so normally whenever we see some technical research papers, they would be collecting so many kind of data. Okay, so how to use the data very effectively? Normally we know that in United States the highest job seeking place is the data science. Okay, but we have enough data. How we can able to make use of this data in a very good prediction analysis. So that is the overview of my talk. So now we enter into the presentation of this small introduction. So the objective of my presentation is going to be we are going to detect the faults. You can ask the question, sir, detecting the fault by connecting some sensors, we can able to detect the faults. Okay, very easy method. So for an example, if you want to detect a fault in a mixie in your house, so normally we can start our research work from the house. We can give some examples, what are the things available in our house first. So in our house, we are having the case of mixie. Okay, so if there is any fault comes in the mixie, okay, what we will do, we can able to make sure that, we can connect some sensors, because already we are having a overcurrent sensor or overcurrent relay in the mixie. So by detecting the fault is very easy. But the thing is that diagnosis means at present we require the human intervention to diagnose the fault. But my talk is automatic fault diagnosis without the intervention of human beings. So here we are going to talk about the master-slave arrangement and also the bypassing strategy. What is meant by a bypass? Bypass means we speak about the national highway and the bypass like that. Bypass means, in order to go in a separate route, we are making the prolonged route to reach the destiny. That is called the bypass. So in our system, instead of going in the conventional route, we are going the diverting to the bypass to reach the target. So if two systems are working, if one system is faulted, so what we are going to do, we are making the other system in order to operate this system also to operate. It will make the other system to operate. If the other system is not able to operate, the remaining system will do the function which is slated to be done by this particular system. That is called the automatic diagnosis. Because, you know, even in our house, nowadays we are facing very big trouble in inviting the plumber or electrician or a carpenter, because these people are very busy nowadays. Okay, so whenever we call them, they will tell, sir, I am busy, so I cannot able to come. So they will give their own schedule so to reaching us. But if there is automatic diagnosis, means we can able to find out where the fault is available. For an example, your installation has been made in a remote area. For an example, you made an installation nearby Kotagiri or some places in the Nilgiris district. Some electrical motors you have installed. Now they are telling that, sir, my motor is not working. What to do? The question is coming from the customer side. As an engineer, we have to provide a solution. The solution, earlier days, you know, the engineer has to travel to the site and he has to see where the fault has occurred and he has to check. For checking the fault itself, some half a day or prolonged 1 day will go. And after that, he has to think for the solution. So the time is wasted, and also the money is also wasted, and also the person available for this particular action is completely was reduced nowadays. If not, if some same problem, same fault has occurred in the remote area, we are putting the automatic diagnostic system. So this diagnostic system will bring a message in your mobile phone that in which part the fault has occurred, which place the fault has occurred. So it will be very easy for you to take the required components for repair, or else you can able to make the user, sir, the fault has occurred over here only. You just change the phase wire and then you can able to operate. That's all. The matter is solved. So in order to make the work very easier, in order to make the work very simplicity, to reduce the maximum complexity, we are making the detection and the diagnosis to be fault and smartness. That's what we're speaking across the smart city concept. What is meant by a smart city? Because many people will tell that a smart city means E-Road is also a smart city. Smart city means a city which is neat. No, it is wrong. The answer is wrong. Smart city means a city should be a smarter. That means, what is the meaning for smart? Okay, you can ask a question, sir. We thought the session is on the electric current analysis. Why you are speaking about the smart? So the analysis and the deduction is a one-line topic. Okay, connect the sensor, observe the waveform, and project the waveform. If the waveform is showing some abnormal result, there is a fault. It's a one-line answer. But our objective or engineering is not like that. We have to go the next way of our research ideas. Okay, so smart means, I will tell you one example for the smartness. So one day I'm taking my son to a temple. Okay, so I'm going to take my son to a temple. So before going to the temple, I'm telling to my son, okay, so we are going to the temple, so you should be very, very silent. Okay, you should not shout. So whoever the elder peoples are coming, you should give the respect. So first criteria is over. Second day, I'm taking my son, okay, to a marketplace or a marriage hall. Okay, I'm taking my son to the marriage hall. So before going to reach the marriage hall, I'm telling to my son that, so we are going to the marriage hall, so you should be very silent, and all the elder peoples are coming, so you should be very, very silent. Okay, and you should get a very good name in our family. So for the two places, I have given a two different data set. The third day, what happened? So since there is no one to take care of my son, I took my son to the college, our workplace. Suddenly in the workplace, our principal or HOD is calling us. Okay, our principal or HOD is calling us, so it is our duty to run without any hesitation, okay, without any time delay. But my son is also with me, so he is not interested to be with somebody else. So he is also interested to come with me. So I am taking my son along with me to meet the principal. So in this urgency or in this complexity, I'm not telling to my son how to behave in the principal hall. I'm not telling, because the system is complex. So I cannot be able to give the data set. So initial one day, I've given some data set. Second day, I'm given some data set. But while meeting the principal, I have not given the data set. If the system, based upon the earlier data set, if it is tunes the third data, means that is called smart. Okay, that is called the intelligent systems. So you no need to worry about how many data set you are having. So the people will tell, sir, my project, I have collected 6,000 data set. I have collected 10,000 data set. No, that is not a big approach. But the meanwhile, with a limited data set, how you are making a system to be smart. So that is what we are going to see. To diagnose the machine fault with higher accuracy. So accuracy and the reliability are the two major factors that was knocking the door of any engineering problems. We require to both accuracy and also the reliability. Okay, the people, those who are going to purchase our product, they have to believe that our product is well and good. So that's what the thing, that's what the case we have to understand. So these are the some set of failure investigations. We can able to see the photographs. Okay, so here we can able to see the inverter incoming rectifier is burnt. So these are the fault. Okay, so when the load is a motor load, so these are the fault where we can able to sense by in our eyes. Okay, so because it is like a catastrophic fault. Catastrophic fault means, adi bhayangaramana. Okay, because we can able to divide the faults into various types. One is the normal fault, that is just you interchange the phase wire, that's all. Second fault is a medium fault, that is you require some human intervention where you have to check across this kind of fault. And the third one is like a catastrophic fault, where it can able to lead to the fire hazard, where it can able to make a very terrible accident like that. So these kind of review or overview we have made across for the different kind of machines and found that this gives a study why the rectifier is burned. Okay, so rectifier input and the input for the inverter is burned. What happened to this particular case? So on analyzing this particular thing, we can able to avoid the fault which is going to knock our door in the future. This is the first case. While going for the second one, so here the servo drive incoming voltage collapsing comparator circuit is burnt. So that is, it's a burning, it is a catastrophic failure. That is the thickest damage in our system. It is happening. And the third one is the servo motor winding is getting burnt. Okay, so that the motor winding is getting burned. So that is by seeing the things itself we can able to understand. Okay, that is, it's got burning. Okay, so for this particular thing, we have to replace this particular winding, or else we should change the particular case, because we should understand that in our country, whenever you are going to service or whenever you are going to repair anything, okay, they will not repair the available item. Even you take a mobile phone, you take your mobile phone to the mobile shop, okay, and ask the mobile person, sir, my mobile is not working. The first answer what he will tell, he will not tell, I will repair the mobile phone. He will tell, sir, you have to replace this item. All the things. Even you take your air conditioner to your service room, the first answer, they will not tell that, sir, I will repair your air conditioner. I will repair your compressor. No answer. They will not repair. They will the first answer, without even investigation, without even an overview, or without even an analysis, they will the first stretch, they will tell, sir, you have to replace the entire case. For replacing, why we want to go for a service station? Nothing. Even you take your car, they will tell, sir, the bumper, final bumper has gone. You have to replace. The bill is 20,000 rupees. That's all. Okay. So the real engineering fails in this particular aspect. That is all the fault. They are not repairing, whereas they are replacing. For replacing, we does not require an engineer. We does not require analytic-based engineer, a statistical approach-based engineer, or experimental intended engineer. So we want a person, those who have to analyze. Okay, so how we can able to make an analysis for these kind of failures. So that is our overall objective of my talk. So here we can able to see the soft starter SCR got burned. Okay, so these are the typical different types of fault. Okay, see, we have to consider this electrical motors or electrical appliances or the mechanical loads as equal to our child. That's what I usually tell to my students in my classes also. Okay, so whenever you are taking care of your appliances in your house, you have to take care of your fan, mixie, AC, air conditioner, washing machine, and everything as like your child. Okay, so whenever your child is not feeling well, we are taking to the hospital, but we are not throwing the child away, or we are not replacing the child with another child. Similarly, whenever some appliances is not working at our home, we are just replacing the thing. And telling that the total period of the life of the washing machine is only 5 years. No, it can even work for 20 more years. Your air conditioner can work even for about 15 to 20 years. And normally the people will tell that the battery will work for only 5 years. That depend upon the cycle, not depend upon the years. Okay, so cycle is how much of charging and discharging cycles. So by knowing these kind of concepts, we can able to keep whatever the appliances in our house throughout our lifetime. And no need to change, but proper maintenance and proper detection and diagnostics of fault. That is called smart home also. So that I will explain you when we are going to the smart system. So this is the inverter gate pulse card is burned. Okay, so that is the inverter is a thing which will convert your DC to AC and giving the power to the AC motor. So over here we can able to see that the pulse card is burnt. Okay, so when the pulse card is burnt, we have to either replace the pulse card or else we have to generate the pulse card of our own. But normally these kind of techniques, we directly bother about to the service provider and then we have to go for the engineer. But the analysis of these kind of faults is limited. See, whatever the fault I have said till now, each and every fault can be converted into a research paper. A detailed analysis of fault we can able to put as a research paper. I will also explain about the various methodology for that too also. So here we can able to see the inverter power FET is called short circuit. So normally in most of the papers, whatever we are working with the papers, they will be concentrating only on the phenomena like open circuit fault and short circuit fault. Okay, open circuit and short circuit. Even in our house, we are telling that the circuit is short circuited. Okay, so short circuited means the current will be the maximum part. Okay, so that is the case. Whenever we can able to see the open circuit and short circuit, other than that, we can able to categorize different kind of fault. How to detect the fault priorly. That is our objective. So till now we have seen some of the overview of the fault. How we can able to detect the fault. Okay, so the indicator of the fault is 2%. Person number 1 is voltage, person number 2 is current. So these two peoples are the indicator of our fault. Okay, so even in our house, even for corona, they will telling that indicator of corona. So whenever our temperature is exceeding and whenever you are having some sneezing and whenever you are having some stomach pain and all such symptoms, then they are telling that we are the corona positive. Similarly here also, the indicator pointer are not more than that. It is only 2 indicators. Why our topic is current analysis, not voltage analysis, means voltage always refers to the input side. It will not bother about the load, okay, because the voltage is neither bother about the loads, whereas the current bother about the loads. Because if we ask anyone how much of voltage coming to your house, they will tell, sir, in our house I am having single phase, in our house we are having the 3 phase, like that. But when we ask about how much of current coming to your house, they will keep, they don't have that idea. Because if they know the current before the electricity people are measuring the EB bill, you can able to make a calculations about our house. Because whenever after 2 months we are paying the electricity bill, either the bill comes 2,000 or 3,000 rupees we are paying. But we neither know that whether the amount what we are paying is for our the normal usage. Never. Okay, so based upon this particular aspect, we have analyzed. So this is a DC connector bus to the motor is getting burnt, and then these are after knowing all these overview. Okay, so after knowing the various overview of the practical fault, so now the introduction of my presentation is going to be, we are using the motors even in our house. Okay, majority of the loads are motor based. Even in our fan, we are having the motor. Mixie, we are having the motor. Washing machine, we are having the motor. And the air conditioner, we are having the motor. Not only for the industrial loads, but also for our commercial and also for the residential loads, we are having the motors. Okay, so even when you open and see the air conditioner, we are seeing the only a small size of motor is available. Okay, so but whenever we are going to say it is a repair one, the people, they will replace, they will not change, they will not make a repair, they will only the replace. So these kind of motors plays a very important role in all the cases. These motors are especially converting your electrical energy to mechanical energy. Okay, so that is the co-link. So here we are speaking about a signature analysis. Okay, so the signature analysis is used to diagnose the faults. Okay, so we can able to see, for this I can able to tell one small example. When you ask a 90 years old person, put your signature, Okay, let me assume that the person is unable to walk and he was completely aged. You ask the particular person to put his signature. He will make the sign like this. Okay, so by shaking his hand, he can able to put some zigzag way of his signature. You ask a person of 60 years of old to put his signature, and you can able to see. When you similarly, you ask the 25 years or 30 years of a young youth to put the signature, he will put the signature in the very aspect. On analyzing the three different ages of signature, by analyzing the signature itself, we can able to understand this signature was made by the very old person. See, look at the signature; it was very enthusiastic, because we can able to make the analysis with the help of the signature also. Similarly, with the help of the current waveform, because we are not taking the voltage waveform, we always, because load always specifies to the current. By speaking about the current waveform, we can able to understand whether this current is healthy, this current is not healthy, or this current is completely distorted. We can come to a conclusion, because that is the indicator factor how we can able to do it. Because whenever I am giving a X-ray photograph to a normal person, he will check for the X-ray. Let me take, I'm giving the brain tumor image to a person. He is seeing the X-ray and he will see a person who is not a doctor. He will see, okay, some cases are there and here some hemorrhage or some tumor things are there like that. But when you say to the MRI scan, because there is MRI, we can even make it as a colorful image, magnetoresonance imaging, we can able to see all the information you can able to extract from that image. That is called, the people they will speak about in the image processing. How you are going to extract the information from the images. Even from our face image, we can extract some data. Either in the 8x8 matrix or 24x24 cross matrix. We can able to change our photograph into pixels, and the pixels can be converted into numbers, and the numbers can be converted into the matrix. So these matrix will give the information. So for my face, we will get one information. For your face, you will get information. That is extracting some information from that particular thing. Similarly, here also, we are going to extracting some information from the current waveform. That is called current signature analysis. Okay, or else signature analysis. Okay, so this concept they have used in the 1970s, and they are used only for the nuclear power plants. Okay, because they are the people, they cannot be able to visit often, because there is inaccessible motors. Okay, so because we can able to see some of the people, those who are working in the nuclear power plant, it is quite inaccessible for everybody. So these motors are placed in inaccessible location. So the signature analysis, so they will capture the signature, and from the signature they will capture the information. From the information, we are going to come to a conclusion. So there are only 3 steps. So in the step number 1, we are collecting the waveform. Second one, from the waveform, you collect the information. And the third one, from the information, you take some decision. Only 3 process. So collection, and then information and decision. CID. Okay, so the analysis will be something related to CID: collection, information, decision. So most of the cases, when this signature analysis takes place, they are collecting the data, that's all, and capturing some data. But decision-making approach is limited. Okay, so the decision-making approach is very, very limited. We have to make sure that how the decision-making can be made in this particular concept. And also when the motors are placed in the hazardous area, where the people cannot able to reach the particular area, we cannot make sure that how the people can reach the particular part. So in 1970s, it was used like that. Even in the 2000, the people are using only for the inaccessible motors means. That means the research has not taken its route. But after 2010 onwards, presently in the 2020, we are making that decision-making approach. That's what the people normally learn about deep learning, machine learning, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, Industry 4.0. So these kind of aspects are completely having only one name. Okay, so because the names are different, I will tell you what is the difference between these names. The people will tell about deep learning, machine to machine learning, Industry 4.0, smart system, intelligent system, all are same. That's all. But based upon the application, the names are different. That's all. But only one concept is to make proper decision. So to make a proper decision, we are giving the names in a different formats. That's all. But the concept is simple. Implementation is very, very simple, and we can able to make them to make the proper decision. How to make a proper decision? I will give one more case study based example. So whenever we are asking our students, how to prevent theft in our house. The people, they will normally tell, sir, we can prevent theft in our house by connecting the CCTV camera. Fine, you are connecting the CCTV camera. Okay, so CCTV camera will capture only the signals. Even in your mobile phone, you can watch your house on connecting using your cloud coverage. Even in my mobile phone, I can able to watch my house, what is happening in all my cameras. That's all. I can watch. That's all. And if any thief is coming, I can able to make the other next to a house person to call him that is somebody is roaming here and there like that. But if the system is smart, whenever the person is coming in the particular frame, it can able to take some decisions. So the D process is limited in all the applications. CID, collection, information and decision. Collection we are doing. We are capturing some information. So these information we are using to prepare the papers and patents and publications. And the third one is decision making. So that is my overall objective. So in this Atal FDP, my part is to make the participants to understand how to create some decisions, how to make the system to make decision of their own by the inputs whatever we are giving. Okay, so that is my complete process. So the test, the advantages of the signature analysis is we are performing various tests in the online. Okay, so without making some disturbance for the production, either at the normal or the loading conditions like that. So this is used only for the predictive tool, the motor current analysis. Okay, so it can able to detect the fault at the early stage. Okay, and we can also prevent the faults like catastrophic and production outage and extend motor lifetime. We can extend the motor life because many people will tell, sir, my television went for service twice. My television went for service twice. The people will tell. That means the lifetime will be limited, sir. Because once they opened the particular cabinet and they are repairing means the lifetime of the system is reduced. The people will normally will tell. It's not like that. But the meanwhile here also, whenever the motors keep on getting fault means the life will be get limited. So those kind of things can be prevented with the help of this signature analysis. What are the ways? So till now in our presentation, we have seen what is meant by the fault, what are the effects of fault, what are the various types available in the fault, and now we are going to see what are the methods available for analysis. So the first method is signature analysis, ESA, that is capturing the waveform and then we are going to analyze the signature. And second one is the motor circuit analysis. That is whatever the circuit we are connecting in front of the motor, either if it is an AC motor, we are connecting an inverter, or also DC motor, we are connecting a chopper or a DC supply or a rectifier, means we can able to make an analysis of the circuit. By this, we can able to calculate the switching losses, by which we can able to calculate the things of the power in and power output. So now our topic is on current signature analysis. And then voltage signature analysis also available, so that we normally take at the input end. At extended Park vector approach, this is useful for the three-phase systems. Nowadays in Tamil Nadu, the people from the maximum case, they are telling about the complaint that even though they are using the three-phase, okay, so they are getting the only the case of two-phase supply. On the phase like R, Y, B is completely limited. Even in your house, if you go and visit the box, what is available across the three-phase system, only the two-phase is having the very good brightness, and the one phase is always dumb. Okay, so that is the case. It is a problem available throughout. Okay, even since we are using only the single phase loads in our house, we are using either from the one phase to the one neutral. That's all. Even though our supply is single phase. So the extended Park vector approach is useful. It is completely a mathematical modeling approach where we are converting the higher order coordinates to lower order coordinates to get some information. That's all. So the earlier photographs, what I have shown you, by the photographs we are collecting the information. By the methods, what we are seeing now, by these methods we are getting the information. So ultimate objective is only one. We have to collect some information. So we have seen that what are the faults. Okay, so what are the collection various, and what we have seen about the collection, and we are getting the information. So decision making will be in the next phase of my presentation. So the instantaneous power signature analysis. That is, as like the person in the ICU ward, the doctor is monitoring the EEG or encephalogram, okay, so that how he is making the parallelogram of our patient. Similar, it's instantaneous power signature analysis. Whenever there is a very high or whenever there is a very low, or whenever there is a much more transient operation without reaching the steady state, so that condition will be monitored. Okay, so here we come across the two different words. One is called transient, one is called steady state. Transient is all the motors will undergo this transient behavior. So whenever we are starting the motor, whenever we are this starting the motor is normal English word, but in the normal engineering term we used to tell us excitation. Okay, so whenever we are exciting the motor will come across a very high amount of transient waveforms. So this particular transient to be limited only for a small period of time. Okay, the current waveform of the transient or even the speed waveform, it should be limited for the only small amount of time. If the transient is going for the prolonged duration of time, means there is a fault in the motor. Okay, so our ultimate objective is after the transient, it has to reach the steady state. That's what in the time response, in the control system, the time response, they are dividing the time response into 4 pieces. One is the delay time, rise time, peak time, and settle time. That is, whenever you turn on the motor, it makes some delay to turn on. Okay, until the voltage reaches the particular winding and the corresponding MMF is produced and the corresponding current has been circulating in our winding. So we can have some delay, a small amount of delay until our supply reaches the motor winding. That's a delay time. After that, the speed will start. That is called rise time. And then it reaches to the maximum position. That is called the peak time and reaches the peak overshoot. And after that, it comes for the settling. That's called the settling. So our objective is our motor has to rotate in the settled time. See, whenever the motor is rotating in the transient phase, we come across some sound, okay, some hissing sound, some noise. These things will occur. Okay, so these are the things will be occurring over here. That is, whenever we come across the thing, even in our house, whenever you are using a motor, you come across some sound. It is because that the fact that the transient phase is moving on before it's going on to the steady state. Some irregular speed response, some irregular current response. Even by you can able to analyze with help of the sound and involving the analysis of the resistance, impedance, inductance, and phase angle, current or frequency response, and then insulation to the ground faults. These are the different methods available. So we are speaking about the current. So this picture will help us to understand about how to extract the current. Okay, so the first picture shows that a 3-phase supply is given to the motor. So across the 3 sub-phases, we are taking the current transformer that is called CT. Okay, so nowadays we are having the high version oriented sensors are available of various names. Okay, so some of the sensors also available. So these sensors are Japanese make, like these are called Hall effect current sensor CSM 003A. So these kind of versions of sensors are available. But here, this is the conventional method of using a current transformer to extract the current, and then we are making a parallel resistor to extract the current. So the current will be get obtained. So after this particular thing, we are making the measurement system. So we are using a meter. Either you are using a current measurement meter, or else oscilloscope, or else a current measurement workstation where the current will be stored over there, or digital storage oscilloscope where to extract the current. So this current, whenever we are receiving at this particular gain, it is comprises of the so many frequency components. So this frequency is the estimator or the detector of our various faults. Because by seeing the current waveform, we can come to a conclusion that this current has completely distorted. So that's what in the WhatsApp or Facebook, you may come across so many memes. That is expectation and reality. You are here also, the expectation is a pure sine waveform, but the reality is abrupted or distorted waveform. Okay, so based upon this particular distortion, we can able to come to a conclusion of various faults. So we are making use of a current sensor. That is, we are using either a clamp probe or else a current transformer with a parallel resistor to record in the time domain. So here we are making the current to be obtained. Okay, so the ideal case, Okay, ideal case, the current to be in the pure sine waveform. What is meant by ideal? In Tamil, ideal means irukku ana illa. That's called ideal. In our textbook, whatever the things we are studying in our textbook are called ideal. Okay, most of the cases we used to study, it is ideal diode, ideal case, ideal. Ideal means irukku ana illa. Okay, so practically we cannot be able to achieve that particular thing. So whatever we are studying in our textbook, that is called ideal cases. Ideal. The same case, so I can study in a textbook that my distortion will stop at 5 volt in the textbook. In the textbook, I'm telling it's ideal case, but in going for the practical, it need not be a 5 volt. It may be a 4.5 volt or 5.01 volt. It may not be a 5 volt. So ideal antonium is a practical. Okay, so here the ideal case, our expectation should be a pure sine waveform, but the reality, okay, the reality is the current having so much of harmonics. Here comes a new word called harmonics. Harmonics are defined as the integral multiples of the fundamental frequency. For an example, if you're having a one sine waveform, let me take my hand, I'm showing now, this is a sine waveform. Okay, so a pure sine waveform. So depending upon your motor, let me assume your motor is having the first order harmonic and third order harmonic and fifth order harmonic means, so all these components are mixed with your pure waveform and your waveform will be distorted. That is the case. So what my area of research is, in the motor current, the third order is there, fifth order is there, and the first order and the remaining orders are there. My approach is to remove this particular persons. I want to intentionally remove this particular person. You can ask a question, sir, in our house we are getting some current, or in our house we are having harmonics. Yes, absolutely we are having the harmonics. That is the reason the people will normally tell, sir, I am consuming only little amount of power, sir. I am consuming only little amount of power, but my electricity bill is very, very high. The reason is because of this harmonics. Sir, my load, just now I bought a very good 1.5 HP motor. It worked for only 3 months, but finally the motor is gone. When I given to the service station, the people is telling that, sir, the motor is spoiled. He is not believing that the motor was purchased only for the 3 months ago. They are not believing. The reason is because of this harmonics. So the only way to alleviate or to eliminate this or to take away this harmonics are filters. But the disadvantage of using the filter is over costly, and this filter will induce some resonance. So this resonance will make the over voltage. So without using the filter, my area of research is to take away this harmonics from the current waveform. My objective is to provide the pure waveform of the current to the motor. Before I'm giving to the thing, I'm going to give a pure waveform. That's the reason. So before we are giving a food to a child or food to a small boy, what we are doing, we are checking whether the food is fine without any dust particles, and we are checking with so much of testing facility, and then only we are feeding the food to the child. We are not putting the milk which was spoiled to the kid. So we are putting the pure milk and then only we are feeding to the kid. Similarly here also, a motor is also like a kid. We are giving the supply. No, there is no way we can able to make a complaint on the motor. So since our objective is to give a pure current, so that is the problem between the service provider and the utility. Okay, so service provider or the consumer. See, the service provider, he will tell, our Tamil Nadu Electricity Board, he will tell, I am giving the pure electricity power. Your loads are only abrupted. You are having a poor quality of loads, so the harmonics are produced. So this person will tell. And as a consumer, they will tell that my loads are very pure because I purchased a 1.5 HP motor only 3 months ago. But your waveform, what the current, what I'm getting from you, that is impurity. So there is always a conflict between the service provider and the service user. Even now, we will put the thing that because of this person only, my TV is faulted. Because even you see in the Perundurai region or in the Erode region, sometimes we are getting the very extra high voltage. So I am also having some discussion with the officials of the Tamil Nadu Electricity Board of Erode region. Okay, so they agreed that the voltage what they are getting is going beyond the limit. So that is the reason to stable the particular voltage for each and every appliances, people are using the stabilizer. That is to provide the corresponding constant voltage required for the loads. That's what they are using the stabilizer. And even some of the cases, the people are not using a stabilizer for the different, for each and every load, we cannot able to use a stabilizer in spite of different kind of extra high voltage are coming. So our objective is to give a pure waveform or pure current waveform to the motor to make it in a performance. We cannot be able to doubt the motor, that is the performance of the motor is poor. The efficiency of the motor is poor. The reason is our input is poor. Since our input is poor, we cannot be able to make sure that. How to make the classifications of motor? So the normal basic classifications of motors are static and dynamic air gap irregularities. Okay, what is meant by air gap? The gap between your stator and the rotor terminals. So that gap to be uniform. So because of this current, what will happen, so the gap will be interchanged. The gap will be non-uniform. That is called as irregularity. So with the help of the current waveform, we can able to understand how much the percentage of irregularity available over there in the air gap. That is we normally called as the air gap eccentricity. Okay, so that is eccentricity. Okay, so then broker rotor bars. Okay, and stator faults. An abnormal connection of the stator windings, and then bent shaft and the bearing and the gearbox failures. Okay, so the number of bearing and the bearing failures. So all these faults can be detected with the help of the current waveform. Okay, so for the air gap irregularities, I may have one equation. So when this equation I'm getting the maximum value of frequency, I will come to a conclusion that there is an irregularity in the air gap. Because normally there is two different types of frequency available. One is the upper band frequency and the lower band frequency. So the distance between these two frequencies are called as a bandwidth. By properly estimating this, I can able to find what is the amount or what is the level of the fault. So if the frequency value is very, very high, I can come to a conclusion that this particular motor is having the air gap irregularity, because I cannot be able to open and see what is the air gap existing between the stator and the rotor. Because everything is mechanically coupled and mechanically incorporated, I cannot be able to open for each and every fault occurs. For broken rotor bar, with the help of motor current, I can able to find it. So whatever the thing happening inside to the motor, with the help of the current waveform, we can able to detect. That is called as the motor current analysis. So we are going to see one by one. So the fault statistics, whenever we are seeing, the 40% of the fault is corresponding to the bearing faults, 30 to 40% to the stator faults, and the 10% of the rotor faults, and the 10% belong to variety of other faults, like some wire breakage, some coupling coils, and like that. So these are the different analyses taken care, how the fault percentage are deviated between like electrical related faults, mechanical related faults, and environment related faults. This is the things. How much percentage of contribution? So it has been done with both studies, IEEE and EPRI study. So we can able to come with the conclusion that the mechanical faults come across sleeve bearing, anti-friction bearings, and the truss bearings, and the rotor shaft, rotor core failures. So the amount of percentage is also given. So here, out of all the faults, we can able to see that the mechanical related fault are 32%, whereas the electrical related fault are 36%. While seeing the individual fault, we can able to understand that stator to ground insulation, that is the first fault, it comes around 23%. So the electrical fault is having the 23%, whereas the sleeve bearing fault comes around the 16%, like that. So with this is the study has been analyzed with the help of the two different study to make sure that how much our level. So normally we can able to see electrical and mechanical faults are 50-50. Both are coming as the same level of percentage. So we have to concentrate both the amount of faults. So the first fault, we are going to concentrate on air gap eccentricity. So the first one is the normal. That is the stator and rotor. Let me assume the central ring is called the rotor. The outer ring is for the stator. In between the white color marked is the air gap. So here the air gap is uniform. That is called the concentric air gap. Whereas when there is an ununiform or the irregularity, it has been denoted as a static eccentricity and dynamic eccentricity. So this eccentricity based thing, based upon our waveform, we can calculate the frequency. So the eccentricity frequency is equal to, that is the Fg, and also the other components like slip, number of poles, and number of the values of constant factors. We can able to find out what is the frequency of eccentricity. And next one is the broken rotor bars. Okay, so here the direct online starting duty cycles with 5-fold the full load bar currents. So it is a pulsating mechanical load, so it causes the overheating in the motor because the rotor bar is broken. So here we are going to examine the spectrum of the stator current. So by examining the current, we can able to avoid the broken rotor bars. When the broken rotor bars are present, the current components of stator winding can be detected. So the current, using the current waveform, we can able to detect the broken rotor bars. So here we can able to understand, this is the one of the waveform for the broken rotor bars. So here we can able to see that if the difference between the main and the sideband frequency component, that is the bandwidth, is given by the decibel. Okay, so if the decibel is about greater than 50 decibel, the rotor has no fault. So no need to open the rotor. We can come to a conclusion that since it is about the 50 decibels, the rotor has no faults. If it is a range between 40 to 50 decibel, that is the decibel can be captured only with the current waveform. That is with the difference between the main and the sideband components. The sideband, the two sideband is there and the main frequency is there. So the difference, based upon that particular difference, we can able to come to a conclusion that, okay, that is, we can able to come to a conclusion. We can collect the information. We have collected, we are getting the information. Still, we are in the information phase only. So the rotor has no faults. And the second one is only one bar is broken. When there is a less than 40 decibel, we can able to see there are several rotor bars are broken. So with the help of the waveform, we can able to understand how many rotor bars are broken in this particular aspect. Second one is the bearing damage. Okay, so this is more difficult to detect the rotor cage problems. So we can able to detect with the motor current analysis. So here we are going to analyze with the help of the current components and with the help of the fundamental frequency waveform. That is F0 is equal to 0.4 N into FRM. That is a rotor damage, motor rotor frequency. With that, we can able to find the values. And second one is a shorted turn to the stator winding. Okay. So this particular fault will create the excessive heat in the stator coil and the current will have the imbalance. So here we are making the motor current analysis, and then with the help of this frequency component, with help of this frequency, we come to a conclusion that is the motor has undergone a shorted turns in stator winding. And second one is the load effects with respect to the load torque. So these variations will cause the variation of motor current. So we can able to understand whether the motor is having the high torque or low torque, and how the torque influences the normal operation of the motor and the no load and the loading conditions, etc. So based upon that, we can able to determine the effects of load with respect to the motor current. So till now we have seen C, we have completed the C, we have completed the I, now we are going for the D, CID. So first one, we have collected the data with respect to our transformer, with respect to our oscilloscope, or with respect to the meter, we have collected, and then we got some information. Okay, that is this guy having some information. Okay, that is the decibel values having some information. Okay, it gives some insight to understand the fact. And then we can able to understand that, there is what are the various types of detection techniques. So out of these various detection techniques, for my research, I am doing the fast Fourier transform, FFT. So why we are using the FFT? What are the advantages of FFT when comparing to the other techniques? Okay, so next one is also FFT only. That's instantaneous power FFT, and the wavelet analysis. Okay, it can also be made. So here it is a technique is very simple, where we are going to give the waveform. That waveform will be cut down into pieces. Okay, where we'll be calling as a mother wavelet and the daughter wavelet, and then we come to a conclusion there. So in the MATLAB, with the compressing of the 5 lines program, we can able to understand how much of the information we can capture from the waveforms. That's called the wavelet. And Park vector approach is comprising of the 2 methods. One is the Park transformation, one is the Clark transformation. So that is all our waveforms will be converted to the vector components. So these vector components can be evaluated to collect the information, and then we can able to make use of the artificial intelligence. So already I have given you what is the meaning for intelligent and what is the meaning for smart systems. So now we are going to see about the artificial intelligence for this particular system. And finally, we are going to see about the Internet of Things, IoT, for detecting the fault. So all these methods, whenever we are focusing towards a group of mechanical or a civil based engineers, the people, the first question they will tell that, sir, all these techniques are electrical related. So all these techniques are ECE related. So these kind of artificial intelligence or IoT or mechanical, CSE related or IT related like that. But when you understand the real implementation, within 2 hours, you can able to implement IoT. Within 30 minutes, you can able to implement the artificial intelligence. Okay. So that kind of confidence I can able to give you at the end of this FDP. So till now, whatever we have seen, it's just only like a literature survey. The review of the literature, that is what are different types of fault, how we are going to extract the fault. The main climax is only in the deduction techniques. Okay, so here in the deduction techniques, we are going to see one by one. So after deducting, we are going for some diagnostic approaches also, same thing. So normally the deduction, the diagnostic approaches will be interlinked. So here for the diagnostic electrical motors are classified into 2 types. One is on the vibration analysis and another one is called as the diagnosis using electrical signals. So those people, those who are working in this particular domain, there is one annexure 1 journal is there that is called Journal of Vibration and Control. So they are accepting the papers related to this particular context. If you are writing even a review paper on the vibration analysis, your paper will be get accepted. So the journal name itself, Journal of Vibration and Control, SAGE publishes. It is in the Anna University Annexure 1 journal. So here, the major thrust area of the journal is this one. So here we are going to see both the vibration and also the diagnosis can be made with the FFT analysis. Or we can able to go with the discrete or digital wavelet transform. So the advantages of the electric current analysis. Okay, so here there is no need for the direct access of the motor, just to observe only the waveform, and easy to simplify electrical signals and for remote monitoring, but it is having very less reliability. Because every engineering problems, there is one glitch, that is the reliability. Nambaga tanmai. Okay, so in order to improve the reliability, we have to enrich our techniques. How? What are the methods available to increase the reliability? So that is our ultimate objective. So here the diagnosis of faults using electric current analysis comes across all these stages. We can see the first one, using the current transformer, we are getting the current waveform. Using the low pass filter, we are capturing we are avoiding all the ripples and all the factors. And all these analog waveform is converted to digital, and we are going the data storage, and then we are converting the waveform to a frequency spectrum. So spectrum is, we can able to see spectrum is the higher frequency, order of frequency is called spectrum. So already we are getting the frequency incorporated waveform. Now we are going to convert to the frequency spectrum. That is the digital representation of the analog waveform is called as the frequency spectrum. Okay. So normally we know about the spectrum and all this meaning. But the meanwhile, spectrum means it is a digital representation of the analog waveform is called, because we want to make it as a digital. Okay, complete. And we are going to identify the significant frequencies. Okay, what is higher order and lower order? Only after understanding the significant frequency only, we can able to calculate the bandwidth or sideband. And then we can move on to the fault diagnosis, and finally we can go for the report preparation. So here the simulation, either you are working with a simulation or where you are going with the practical steps, these are the work process. That is, we are going to convert the analog to digital, and then we are going to verification, simplification, categorizing, fault diagnosis, and then report preparation. Okay, so all these fault diagnosis will be completely in the manual way. But my research is not making the fault diagnosis in the manual approach. It should be automatic. That's a smart system. Okay, so even if it is not manual, complexity has to be reduced. Okay, so that is my overall objective. So here, this is the waveforms for current and speed, normal practical waveform. So where the current waveform, we can able to see the transient behavior during a startup. Okay, so that transient behavior will remain for some time. That is, it will overshoot for some period of time. After that, it will reach the steady state. So while going to the transient behavior, it will move across delay time, rise time, peak time, and then come across the maximum peak overshoot. It goes across various phases and completely comes to the steady state condition. So whenever we want to analyze the performance or the creditability of the motor, we have to analyze the motor in the transient phase, not in the steady state phase. The steady state phase means already the motor is working in the normal operation. We cannot be able to get any data. We cannot be able to get any information. So we have to analyze what is happening in the transient phase, whether it is going in a very big overshoot like that, So based upon that, the corresponding speed waveform can also vary. So now we are going to see how the processing of the signal takes place practically. So I'm going to take the transient waveform for a 3-second duration. And before the 3 seconds, the waveform we can able to see it went to the steady state. Out of the 3 seconds, I am taking the 0.1 second of the waveform duration. And after that, I am going to convert it to the Fourier transform. And then I am going for the zooming the particular waveform and finding the peak frequencies. Okay. And then we can able to understand on this particular waveform, the 0.1 second after getting zooming, we can able to get this waveform. The 0.1 second time cycle of the current waveform. So here we can able to see that the current is not normal. So we can able to get the abnormal waveform. So normally we want the current waveform to be a symmetrical waveform. Symmetrical waveform means whatever available in the positive of cycle, it should be aware of the negative of cycle. Because the waveform, whatever is coming in your house, it should be in a symmetrical waveform. Whatever available in the positive of cycle should be in the negative of cycle. So whatever available in the positive of cycle, if it is not met down in the negative of cycle, means there is a fault will be existing. So here also in this waveform, we can able to see this is not a symmetrical waveform, it is abnormal, distorted waveform. That is, there is some fault available in this particular waveform. And then while converting into the frequency spectrum, so earlier the current versus time, now the current versus frequency. So now we can able to understand that having the frequency components. So what is the level of frequency? Whether it is having 200 Hertz or 300 Hertz or 400 Hertz to measure the sideband and main frequency spectrum. So when we are making the lower band zoom of this current waveform, we can able to capture the waveform across this particular duration with respect to the frequency. So these are the various frequency components. That is across the X and Y axis. What is the frequency? What is the current? So how the frequency? So this is helpful to understand what is the main frequency and what are the typical sideband frequency. To understand what is the decibel, to determine the bandwidth, and to find out what is the types of fault with respect to the frequency. Because the frequency will tell that what is the fault occurs. Because we are capturing the waveform. After capturing the waveform, now the waveform is a current waveform. After the current waveform, we are concentrating only on frequency. So this is a lower band zoom of the frequency spectrum with respect to current and frequency graph. So now we have understood that based upon this particular graphical nature, we can able to understand that is how much the waveform, earlier waveform, it has come like this. Okay. For this, we have to analyze the FFT. How to analyze the FFT? That I will show in the remaining slides. So that will give you more amount of information. So now the time is exactly 3 p.m. So the participants, those who are having any queries or any doubts, you can make use of the chat box. Okay. So I will make a note of all the doubts. So during our query session, I can answer, or during meanwhile in the presentation itself, I can able to answer your queries related to electric circuit analysis or any other things, whatever you intend to ask. So even you can make sure that to put some feedback about the session, and you can make use of the chat box. Okay. So the next 30 minutes, we are going to see some detection techniques and diagnostic techniques. So we have completed the collection information. So we got some information, and then we are going to see about the detection and diagnosis with some intelligent approach. So here we can able to see this particular thing is collectively called as the power quality. So power quality means whenever the waveform is completely changed. So as per the IEEE standard number 1100, it is telling that we want to power the equipments as according to the requirement of the current. Okay. So we have to make sure that what is the boundary of the current. Okay. So what is the things of the current? Okay. So we can able to understand how much the case related to this particular thing. So normally we can able to understand that how we can able to achieve this particular factor. So to mechanical, to minimize the, so one of the query I can able to see here, Sanjeev Lambasar is asking about to minimize the mechanical force in motor, which type of bearing is used to support the rotor of motor. It depends upon the applications, what we are intend to use to show. Okay. For example, if you're using for the low power applications, we can make use of the bearing which was intended for the low power applications, and then we can able to minimize the, by changing the bearing, we can able to change the faults. But we should also avoid the fault should not turn it back. So for that, we are giving some solution in our forthcoming slides. I will give you some solution how even the unworthy bearing we can able to use. We can able to use the unworthy bearing, but making it as a proper with the help of our technique. So that I will show you. So could you brief about side bands in frequency spectrum? Sir, side band means, you can able to see, we can able to see in this frequency spectrum, what I am showing here in this particular case, we are having a waveform over here. This is the waveform. That's a main waveform which is having the peak or peak side. A peak, that is the frequency which reaches the peak magnitude. Okay, we won't call it as amplitude, it is called magnitude. So what is the difference between magnitude and amplitude? Amplitude means the height. We normally know amplitude means the voltage signal, it is the height. Magnitude means, it is called as, in Tamil we used to call it as adarthi. Okay, that is the magnitude means how dense. Okay, so in this particular waveform we can able to see one waveform which is having the maximum overshoot. That is called as the main component. Main component. So in the left side and the right side, we have to search for the another main component. So the distance between, or the difference between main and the subband, so we have to measure the subband frequency from the main to the subband. So that will give you the decibel calculation. So we can able to sideband frequency can be calculated. First you point out to the main component. After pointing out the main component, you search for the sideband component, the left and right. So whichever the peak fellow standing as a tall, you choose them as the thing. One is called as the F1 and another one is called as the F2. The difference between F1 minus F2 will be called as the bandwidth of this particular spectrum. And now we can able to see some of the relative techniques for this particular case. And now these are the various power quality problems where the current waveform or else the voltage waveform is having the different irregularity or the different shapes that may cause the damage to the motor. So this is called as one of the over frequency condition. So where the frequency is, because we want the frequency to be a 50 Hz frequency. For our loads, we want the frequency to be 50 Hz frequency. But because of this irregularity, instead of 50 Hz, we intentionally making the frequency like 200 Hz, 300 Hz or 600 Hz to be going to the motor. But the motor can able to withstand only up to 50 Hz frequency. But we intentionally making the frequency to be increased because of this kind of harmonics. So our objective is we have to alleviate and we have to remove the over frequency components. How to remove? So that is called the harmonic study. So this particular study you can able to see in this particular picture for proper waveform. See the waveform, it is shown in this fundamental waveform. That is a fundamental. That is a normal waveform. We want the waveform to be like that. But in that particular waveform, we can able to see we are having 5th order, 7th order, 3rd order like that. So combination of all these orders, what will happen? The frequency is increasing and also it is the root cause or the indication of the fault. We always want to think that we are not giving the pure form of supply to our house. In that way, we should be very, very confident. Don't blame your loads. Don't blame your mixie or fridge or TV or a wet grinder or a washing machine. Blame the input supply, what we are giving to the appliances. So we should have, it does not mean that, it should be an electrical person or some other person. Because everybody is using electricity. That's what even when morning Hariharan sir called me, I said that, sir, today we are having the power cut over here. So I can able to manage because I made 2 to 3 gadgets fully charged with all the UPS connectivity. So I can able to take class in the afternoon, I promised him. So that kind of way of approach we should have to know about all the appliances, what is in our house. What is the current rating of the individual component? What is the maximum load in your house which takes the maximum current in your house? Okay. Which is the maximum load which brings you the maximum electricity bill to your house? So that kind of calculation everybody should have. Okay. How many units per day you are consuming? Okay. How to reduce this per day consumption? Okay. What is the implication of this per day completion? Okay. So sometimes, in 24/7, we are using the fridge to our house. How to reduce the consumption? So by making the fridge to make away from your wall, to keep some distance between your wall and the fridge, that will also reduce your energy consumption. Okay. So here we can able to tell the input power, what we are giving over here to the motor is completely abrupted. So what are called as harmonics? This is called the expectation and the reality. Expectation is sine waveform, that is the first waveform. It is combined with the harmonics. It is combined with the harmonics. So the reality will be, we expect the waveform to be like this. Okay, we expect the waveform to be like this, but the meanwhile we get the waveform like this. If you give this particular waveform to the motor, that means the motor will fail. Okay, so the motor will not able to give the performance. But normally what the people will tell, because of that motor only, we are getting the current like this. Okay, that's what the thing, like in conflict between both the places. The person who is supplier will tell, because of your load only you are getting the poor power supply, and we will tell, because of your input only my load is abrupted. But ultimate loser is us. We are the consumers, we are the losers. So we should understand that the biggest role of this particular study. So we can able to understand that these are the effect of harmonics. It will create the noise in the motors and the equipment will fail. Okay, so it causes the potential grounding problems, and it will cause the loss in our rotating machines. Okay, it will cause the extra loss in our rotating machines. So this is the harmonic study. So THD is the factor to understand that what is the amount of harmonics should be are present in our existing waveform network. So this waveform will tell you, that is what is the waveform related to our THD. That is how the THD waveform will look like. Okay. So for a typical waveform, I will show you. Here we can able to see, that is for our house supply, this waveform has been taken. So y-axis will be on the fundamental magnitude. So the fundamental frequency is 50 Hertz. So it is giving us 2 to 4.7 volt. Okay, that is what is our required voltage. For 230 volt, it is showing for the 2 to 4. So THD is showing us 7.92%. So as per the standard, the THD should be less than 5%. Okay, so normally in many institutes, the people, they will go for the consultancy work for performing the harmonic study. Okay, so these harmonic study are intended only to measure the harmonics. Okay, so what is the level of harmonics present in your system? So even for our house, we have to measure whether we are giving the pure form of supply to our electrical loads. But the answer is no. See, here we can able to see the first order is the fundamental component, and this 3 is the third order component, 7th order component, 9th order component, 13th order component, 7, etc. So all these components are combined together, and we are having the formula. Formula is the order of harmonics divided by the fundamental order. So by that we will get the value as 7.92. So as per the IEEE standard, it should be 5%. So here we are going to see how the various methods being adopted to shape the waveform. What are the various methods available to shape the waveform? So this is the one of the circuit. So for our motor, two things we are going to adopt. For a project. So one thing is the converter. Okay, proper converter. Okay, even in our house we are having the converter. That is, everybody having UPS in our house. So that UPS is also called as a converter. And also for the UPS, you are giving the signals, that is called the controller. So controller and the converter is not a new topic to anyone, because that is already available in our house. So this kind of two things we are giving to the motor to improve the current factor. Okay, so this is the normal block diagram. So this is one of the case. Okay, a closed loop diagram. So let me take a DC motor as an example. So we are having the input power supply, and this is called as a converter. And here we are having the load, okay, as a motor load. So let me take, I'm taking the motor voltage. Okay, normally the motor voltage will be a distorted voltage, or motor current will be the distorted current. So I'm giving the reference signal, reference input. If you are taking the voltage, it will be V. If you are taking the current, it will be I. That's all. So I am taking the voltage and we are giving a reference. It is giving to the GC of S. What is GC of S? GC of S is the controller. What is the role of the controller? Okay, the role of the controller is to reduce the error. Okay, so we see so many controller in our day-to-day life. What is the role of a controller? Controller is to reduce the error. Okay, so that's what the thing. The people, they may using the neural network, fuzzy logic, and all kind of controllers. The one-line story of the controller is controllers are used to reduce the error. After reducing the error, it will generate a signal. That signal is called modulating signal or control signal. That is useful for calculating or controlling your converter to operate in the required speed or required current value. Okay, so this is the way. This is the overall closed loop operation, what is intended to provide for the current balancing. And earlier the people, they are using for the motor with the analog control method. Okay, so they will get the waveform and they will be comparing with the waveform, and then finally they will give to the input supply to the waveform to the motor, and then they can able to observe the calculations. That has so many drawbacks in the analog control method. So for that, we are making the case like the digital control method. So in this digital control method, we are making use of the digital case, because full world is completely converted to the digital fashion. So here in the digital, we are making use of the control for the motor for wave shaping. So there are various appliances can be useful for the digital control, like a microprocessor, microcontroller, or the processor board or custom board. So here for the controller, many people, they may using, still now they are using for the PID controller. But the task is tuning of PID controller is very difficult. Okay, so that's what we are moving across to the some of the case study based methods. So one first case study I'm going to tell now for the fault detection and the diagnosis. Okay, so these are the list of faults. Okay, so these faults are not intended to the motor. So here I have taken the fault takes place in the solar based motor control system. What are the fault that has been available from the supply to the load side? So the fault that has been marked in the red color is the fault that has been occurring in the solar panel. And the fault that has been given in the blue color, it is for the fault that has been given in the power converters, like your inverter. And the fault that has been given in the green color, it is for the fault occurring in the battery. And these kind of fault can be limited and detected and diagnosed and then given to the motor load. This is the first case study related to the fault detection and diagnosis. So as I said, already we have completed the collection. Second one is information, and third one is the detection and diagnosis, not the normal detection and diagnosis, smart detection and diagnosis. Okay, so that is our topic. So here, this is the algorithm what we have created for the fault condition. A normal algorithm. Okay, very simple algorithm. How to create an algorithm? Okay, algorithm is, okay, whatever you are interested, that process it has to do. That is called algorithm. See here, this algorithm is developed by me, and I have drawn this algorithm. So here we can able to see I'm measuring some value of voltage or current, some values. So since our case study is on current, I'm measuring some current. Then I'm going to compare the current with the reference current. Reference current is the normal current. Let me assume your reference current is 5 amps. Your reference current is 5 amps means what will happen if your reference current is 5 amps? Okay. We are going for the reference current 5 amps means, that is 1 amps to 5 amps are the normal current. So, but you have collected the current of 10 amps. So the second case, the decision variable, it will check whether your current is normal or fault. Because I already given the range for the normal. So if it falls within the range, it will show yes, within the range. So it is the normal. So the process will run like that. If it is going beyond or below the normal, what will happen? It will show it is a fault condition. So for the fault condition, I can able to initiate a circuit where it can able to go for either bypassing or else the auxiliary domain. For that, I will explain you with a small circuit where I have done for the bypassing condition. Okay. See here, this is the circuit what I used for the bypassing condition. So I have taken the 7. So it is given to the motor load. So here I have taken the 7 numbers of solar panels and 7 numbers of inverters. Okay. So, and another one I have kept as an auxiliary. So that auxiliary fellow will power for the normal controller appliances, small appliance, because it is not idle. It is being given to the power for the normal, non-important items power supply. It will give the power supply for the non-important items. So now suddenly the plant number 2 is fault, or else the inverter number 2 is fault. So this fellow, this auxiliary will sense, because for sensing, I am having the 2 switches. It is marked as switch 1 and switch 2. So for each and every inverter part and each and every solar part, I will fix the sensor. So this sensor will give the input to my controller. So the controller, from the controller, I will get the information. That is, the controller will give the information. That is, the inverter number 2 is faulted. The solar number 1 is faulted. The information will give. So what I will do, I will do means not I am doing, my controller will do. So my controller, what it will do, since the second person is on fault, it will allow this auxiliary person to do the work of the second person. So the second person work, if the second person work is stopped, means I will get the less power, or I will get a 0 output power. I will get 0 at the output. So to avoid the 0 condition, what the controller will do, the second person is fault. So this person is standby. So you go and do the particular work. So this person will go there and do the particular work. So your fault will not be a biggest criteria. It will be only a temporary condition. And then after this person is going and working, your particular function will be get restored. This is the objective of my self-healing work. That is, I am allowing the extra person to operate. You can ask a question, sir, why I am giving the extra person? Why I want to keep an extra person? If you don't want to keep an extra person, out of the 7 things, I can make the 7th one as a slave, and the remaining one as a master, and the remaining 6 as a slave. Okay, so master will direct you which one to do the slave operation. Okay, so one slave is fault means this master will ask another slave to do the 2 slave works. This is called the circuit reconfiguration. By that, I can able to extend my supply. So this work is simulated and experimentally verified, and this work got published in IEEE Transactions on Energy Conversion. Okay, in the paper is an IEEE. Okay, that is the self-healing work, fault-tolerant capability, not deduction, or not only collection, not only information, but also deduction. So my the thing will show that where the fault has occurred, deduction, and also it will go for the diagnosis. If the fault is restored means, again the auxiliary person will come and do the same work. Again, if the inverter number 5 is fault means, again this auxiliary person will go and it will do the work of the particular thing. So I'm sending some other person to do the extra work for only limited duration of time. Within the limited duration, if the fault is high, some manual person will come and do the work. If the fault is very limited means, it can able to restore automatically like this. So by this particular work, no need for any human intervention, any remote monitoring or remote case of implementation can be done with this particular aspect. So here we are also second case study with help of IoT. So Internet of Things, normally we know Internet of Things comprises of 3 layers. One is called the application layer, network layer, perception layer. Don't think that it is a computer science. It is just a 30 minutes work for implementing your project. That's all, IoT. Perception layer means, see, with the help of my face, I will explain you IoT. Okay, with the help of my face. So in my face, I'm having some sensors, eyes, nose, ears. These are my sensors. This is called as a perception layer. This is called as a perception means extracting some data. I'm extracting some data. Okay, after extracting my data, I'm storing this data in my cloud storage. Okay, I'm storing over here. that is called as a network layer. That is all the data, wires or node cables are reaching towards this particular cable. Okay. After that, application layer. Application layer means, see, I'm meeting about one person. I'm seeing one person. So all the person information will be stored. When the person comes, so this person, this message will be conveyed to them. That's all. This is called IoT. That's all. Perception layer and network layer and application layer. That's all. That's IoT. So while implementing practically about this IoT concept, I will tell you one small thing. So here we have developed for the remote monitoring of electrical motor. Okay. So where we kept the sensors, as I said, our human face is a sensor. Okay. And then these sensors, the current sensor, voltage sensor and temperature sensor, and this sensor data has been taken to the cloud storage, and then from the cloud storage, it has been retrieved through my mobile phone. It is taken back to my mobile phone. This is called the IoT based implementation. For implementing this, we have to write a program coding in Python. Many people are telling, sir, Python is very difficult, sir, very things. No, for our purpose as a mechanical engineer, as an electrical engineer, we just want to sense the data, we have to connect the data, we have to get some information and deduction. That's all. For this particular thing, Python program is just only one page. If time permits, I will also show the Python program for extracting the current waveform. That's all. Just very simple. You can make use of the same program for your project work also. Okay. So by that, you can able to understand how simple to able to understand. This is for remote monitoring. That is, whenever you can able to see a motor, you cannot able to go for, this is all the new way of approach of creating some Internet of Things based fault detection and the diagnostics method for electrical motors. Okay, so all the current waveforms will be stored, all the current waveforms will be conveyed to you in your mobile phone on a timely basis. So this is an implementation with respect to IoT based implementation over here. And another case study, but since we are having only 5 minutes more for completing the session, I just move on the session for question and answer things, because the next case study which I'm going to take, it will take another 30 minutes. Okay. It will take another 30 minutes. But anyhow, I will move it to the 30 minutes coverage. I will move it to the next 3 minutes. But meanwhile, if you have any queries, we can able to make sure that, because our session is about 2 to 3:30. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are having only 5 minutes period of time. So within 3 minutes, I will coverage the case study on the computing techniques, how with a small amount of coding. Okay, so here we can able to see, because not more slides, just 5 slides only. So here we are going to make sure that a learning process. Okay, see, whenever if we ask a person going to a college, what are you doing? Sir, I am learning. If you ask a faculty, what are you doing? I am learning for my next class. What is meant by learning? Learning is defined as tuning. Okay? Learning is defined as tuning. So whenever faculty will tell, sir, my student, whatever I teach does not follows my class, is not even studies in my subject. So we should not tell that you should go and teach. We should tune. So learning is defined as tuning. That means what? Machine learning means tuning the machine. Deep learning means you are going to make the deep characteristics tuning factor. That's all. So here also our human brain works based upon the tuning. Okay, so if you want to study something, it will be stimulated and then tuning. So for this kind of implementation, I need some set of inputs, some set of outputs. That's all. So here for the fault detection and diagnosis, I am giving the inputs as fault, and then I'm going to give across the various different kinds of its implementation techniques. So here we can able to understand. Okay, so here we can able to understand how much the fault has been given. So I will give some input parameters of fault conditions, and output parameters I will take what are the methodology or the provisions, and then I will tune the system. So whenever the fault condition arises, my controller will directly detect whether there is a fault or not. This is the intelligent based detection methodology. So based upon that, I can directly go with one. These are the different algorithms. Okay, all these algorithms having places only one pivotal role, that is to detect the fault in an intelligent manner. Very, very intelligent manner. No need for human intervention. That is, I'm giving some data set. Based upon the data set, it trains and tests. So whenever I'm implementing in the real-time system, it will show how far we are getting the output energy or output supply. So these are the various learning methods. So this is one sample coding. So this coding you can use for either mechanical or biology or botany for generating a neural network based fault detection and determination methodology. The same, you can able to see I'm using only 5 lines of coding, just 5 lines. Even for my IEEE paper and even for my LCVR, I use this only 5 lines of coding. So this will give an importance that how you can able to develop intelligent based coding. No need to study very big courses or courses on intelligent computing and nothing. Just to understand these 5 lines. For the next 1 minute, I will explain you the sample coding. So here, clear all CLC. It is only for the, it is not important commands, only to clear the screen and to clear the present directory of your MATLAB file. V is equal to, I am giving some data set. So each and every data set group is divided or differentiated by a semicolon, and then I'm giving the output. So V refers to the input, A refers to the output. Next, the next line, I'm creating a network. So here in this network, I'm going to create with the input layer and output layer. Okay, so I'm having the input layer and output layer. So in between the input and output layer, in between there are so many hidden layers are available. Whenever you're using the maximum number of hidden layers, that is called deep learning. That is called deep learning. So whenever you take any paper on deep learning, see, nowadays the papers on mechanical engineering alone will not go through in some of my reputed publications. Whenever you come across the publications like IEEE or IET, we want some interdisciplinary papers where the papers can mix with the mechanical and as well as the electrical and as well as the deep learning and machine learning, like that. So based upon the 3rd line and 4th line and 5th line, it will train the system and we can able to test the system. So whenever you are feeding the input with your keyboard, in the output it will show that what kind of fault it will show. Not only for the numerical values, even for the characters, even for the photographs, even for the fault images, these particular things will work very well. Okay, so this is the sample coding. For those participants who are interested extra about this coding, you can contact me and I can able to show with how this coding works with. Okay, so this is a training result of this particular code. This is a model what we have created, and similarly for the fuzzy logic also we have done with the motor fault identification with set of rules. Okay, so you can ask a question, sir, how much time it will take to implement the fuzzy logic for my project, for my research, like that. I can able to make a challenge that within 5 minutes you can able to complete the fuzzy logic. Okay, within 5 minutes. Okay, within 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, I will take a result for your work using fuzzy logic. So the requirement to study this will take some time, but the real-time implementation will take only 5 minutes. So far, based upon that, an implementation has been made, and then we are concluding this particular session, and exactly the time is 3:30. Now the session is open for the next 5 minutes for general questions. Either you can able to open your mic and you can ask a question, or else you can make use of a chat box for the next 5 minutes.
Yes, it is open to participants. Please, if you want to ask any question, please raise. Sir, somebody asked in the chat box.
Okay.
To minimize the mechanical faults in motor,
So, I already answered, sir.
Used to support the rotor of the motor.
So I already answered to the question, sir. Okay. Which type of bearings are used in the motor? Okay, so the bearings, I already said the same answer. It depends upon your applications. For example, if you're going for the toy level problems or like low power applications, the normal bearings are enough. But whenever you're going to the applications like a forklift or some to in order to move the particular weight, so it depends upon the amount of weight, how much you are lifting and how much of the case you are using. Based upon that, the bearings can be used. It does not mean that this kind of bearing we have to use, but the meanwhile, the bearing, it depends completely on the applications in what we are going to use it. For an example, we also made an experimental study for in agricultural purpose. Even in the agricultural purpose, what kind of things, whether we are going for the water pumping, or else for the tractoring, or else for the crop sowing the seed and those kind of things. Okay, so any bearings can be used, but provided that proper maintenance, and also that has to withstand the amount of weight what we are going to impose with. So for the applications like DRDO, any method to detect the line current analysis. So that's what I'm telling, So there are, you can able to use the FFT, fast Fourier transform, and the wavelet analysis. Okay, so detect the line current. Okay, detect the line current. We can able to make use of the clamp meter. That is a normal meter is available even in our laboratory, and also the mechanical laboratories. We are having the clamp meter. Can we implement the fuzzy logic in the MATLAB Simulink? Yes, madam. We can implement. Okay, that's what I'm telling you. We can able to implement within 5 minutes. Okay, it will not take more than 5 minutes. The details what I need from you is you have to give the range of input, range of output, and the corresponding the relation between input and output. That's all. So after that, I can able to make either if you require in coding, or either if you require in the Simulink block set, we can able to complete. Okay, so these are the intelligent based techniques, and even in your paper you can able to write an intelligent based fault detection methodology for bearing motors, or for like that. So we can able to make sure that these papers can able to get selected, like the journals like Journal of Vibration and Control and IEEE Transactions, and so many journals are available where they are requesting the paper only in this domain on motor current analysis. And also this FDP is a very nice topic has been coined because this has given a very big role, okay, for making some research in the motor current analysis, and also the motor, okay, different types of motor useful for the wind energy, and various typical, even for electrical vehicle, the motors usage, and motors we are using, and for detecting and diagnosing the fault, certainly this FDP is an eye opener. Okay, so thank you so much.
Any question, please? So if no question means, I thank the participants and Dr. S. Albert Alexander for giving a wonderful talk on motor current analysis. Really, it is an eye-opener for all the participants to do their research or to go into the detail about the current analysis in their field, and publish more papers in this, because it is a developing area. Already it was not there, but he has given a wonderful lecture about the programming techniques also, how to implement all these things for your technical papers. Thank you, sir, for your
Thank you, sir.
very good lecture
Thank
for
you,
the
sir.
participants through this ATAL program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Participants, tomorrow you have a third day. Tomorrow morning we have one scientist from DRDO, Hyderabad. He is Mr. Dr. R. Santanam. He will give you the modern analysis and experimental correlation using the rotating machineries. And the second session, you have a vibration measuring instruments and signal processing for different applications by Dr. S.B. Kandagal. He is a principal research scientist, aerospace engineering, IIC Bangalore. And the afternoon session, you have a condition monitoring of composite drive shaft by Dr. G. Rajesh Kumar, Associate Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, PhD Institute of